us. It doesn't care what the temperature is around us. It's still going to give us an array of color. So you guys should all see my face in that picture. It should be orange, red, and yellow. So everything around me should be blue and black. What that means is that my face is the warmest thing inside the picture. If you take me out of it, then it's obviously going to fluctuate just a little bit. I'll turn it around this way again so you can see. So it's going to fluctuate and show a little bit more orange because my skin tone is not going to be in the picture. So we are literally looking for blue spots to go across somebody's face or across an orange spot. It has to move intelligently. That's really what we're looking for here. The cool thing is that this records audio as well. So before, I used to ask who my skeptic was, and I don't want to know who my skeptic is tonight. And I would give this to them because I would get their commentary all night long, and it was absolutely hysterical. So, I know, right? So who seems to be really interested in handling this ultra rad tool? I didn't see like anybody go, ooh. So
he is. He doesn't want to say it.
Okay. What? That's all you, my man. So what you're gonna do with that guy, your finger's right over the camera. It's on your left-hand side, just so you know. So do you see the red square on your screen?
Yep.
Okay, so that means that it's recording. So if you hit that by accident, it will turn to a circle, and you will have to let me know so I can splice your video together. And then everybody's going to blame you for late data, because I'm usually done by noon, so if it's past that, it's your fault.
Okay.
So I got jokes too, guys. So, all right, so let's stick with the thermal imaging for a minute. I'm sorry, bud, what was your name?
Colin.
Colin, pick a partner. You need somebody to work with. Perfect. So what we're going to do here is we're going to debunk the things that he's going to find on the camera. So one thing I will not do for you guys is make things up. So we have to debunk as we go along. So the first thing, we all know what this guy is, right? Surface temperature. So it's a red dot. Okay, it is a laser. The problem with the laser is that I don't know what the temperature is between the gun and the dot. So I need something, an ambient thermometer, to be able to measure that. So in the event that Colin says, hey Nick, there's a blue spot on that wall, and it's kind of moving around, I'm going to test the wall first to make sure it's not the wall. If it's not, it's the air between Colin and the wall itself. So now we're going to test it and find out where that goes. This is not super active, but this guy you're going to help determine, and we're going to work more on each device, guys, but you're actually going to have both of those. So you guys are my temp team. I know, super exciting. We got temperatures, we know it's cold, yes! All right. We're going to be working with several spirit boxes tonight. Spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. Now, we are going to have 3 different spirit boxes and 2 pieces of audio. So I will go through spirit boxes individually just so, and you're like focused, so I can already see, like, she's like, oh, I got to get her a spirit box. So this particular spirit box actually records. If you're not familiar with how they work, it sweeps through FM radio stations at a very quick rate. Okay, so it's that annoying static you hear on your TV shows. So with that being said, I have this guy slowed down on purpose. You guys aren't used to listening to this for long periods of time. You're used to Zach Bagans giving you 3 seconds repeated over and over and over again. I want the radio chatter to come through. I want the DJs, the song lyrics, the commercials. If you can make something out, then I want to know what it is. So that's kind of how this goes. So this one, the nice thing about it is it's going to record the entire session for us, no outside noise, even when it's on mute. So there might be things that we miss in real time, but you're going to have the full live recording tomorrow morning. So, and you won't hear any of us talking, you won't hear any of the stories or anything like that. It's just the full recording of radio sweeps. I will point out probably 8 to 12 if I can find anything in there. That's usually about the average of what I'll find. And then I will show you what those audio pieces are. In the event something is relevant to the location of where we are, something happening with our tour, or myself or one of you, I will definitely give you a verifiable link to show you why it's relevant. So, KRISTY, do you have a good set of ears?
Sure.
So you have one button to worry about. It is a volume button. It's a little wheel at the very top up here. There's a button, but there's also a wheel. You need to control the wheel. So it's already recording. So you're all set with that. Let's see. Let's go to the next spirit box. So this one is a little different. This one is actually a phone app. And the weird thing about this one is that it will actually give us a set of words right on the screen as things start to happen. What I will tell you about this particular spirit box is that 80% of it is BS. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Most of this stuff is meant for college kids to have a good time and drinking games and all that mess. That's exactly what this was intended for. However, the 5 to 20% that I find every single night through this guy is relevant. And I will give you verifiable links that show you why it's relevant. We'll get it plugged in just so it can stay on for us. I don't want to leave a rating. So again, it's going to leave a word for us right here in the center of the screen and then save them to a list. On my last tour, they had a lot. They had 78 terms. I'm going to clear them out because they already have theirs. I'm going to start you guys off fresh. I get about 55 to 60 in a 90-minute period. Okay, so again, 80% of it is going to be BS. So just kind of take that for what it's worth. It's Velcroed on there. You seem super excited about a spirit box. That is all you. So,
I have to press any button?
Nope. All you got to do is let us know what words pop up. And we'll see if we can relate it to where we are. Let's see. What do I want to go to next? Let's get into something a little bit more exciting. What's that?
You should grab the spirit box.
You want a spirit box?
No, I'm fine.
I got another one.
I want to know what's exciting.
Okay.
I'm down there.
She's down for exciting. So,
European. Am I supposed to tell you yet?
yeah. Well, you can. Just interrupt. It's interactive.
European.
I'll take it. And I'll tell you why that's relevant here shortly. Doesn't mean I went to the bathroom. So, this is the neuralizer from Men in Black. I need you all to stare right here. Your memories are about to be erased. Haha, you guys are still alive. Great. So, this is a grid pen. So, we're going to try to get as many dots on there as we possibly can. Now, we can all see the green dots on the ground, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we can't see the green dots from the pen to the ground. We need something to pass through it. So, in the event something passes through this, we're going to be able to catch it. Okay, so this one's exciting, but can get Nick in a lot of trouble. So, this laser stays to the ground, maybe out 5 feet in front of you, and that's about as far as that one's going to go.
Honor.
Honor? Okay. See, we're getting stuff already. I like European better. Red squares. Why do we use red squares on a laser? It works the same way as a green one, right? But the difference on this one is in the event we capture something here in a picture or film, then I can put that in 3D software and we can get a full 3D view of what we caught. How cool is that? So, why do I put both lasers in the same pair of hands? Because I need to know exactly where they are at all times. So, if those get pointed in the wrong direction, Nick literally walks away in handcuffs. So we're going to keep them off buildings and so forth and so on. And you have 2 colors, green and red, so don't cross the streams. Did anybody get my Ghostbusters joke besides Thelma? Thank you. All right, so obviously your partner is going to be helping you out.
Yeah.
So we need to capture what she might miss during the whole flash in those lights. Okay. I don't normally give this device to teenagers because they don't know what it is. So I make sure I choose my age groups wisely. Again, there's no flash on this. We don't want any false positives. So literally mark what you're going to be doing. Go ahead and point one down for me. You're just going to be taking a picture just like this. Through the laser, not down at it. Okay, so you want to actually go through it. So I don't care how many pictures you take, get a ton of them. The more you have, the more possibility we have of capturing evidence. You guys like, what else is in the bag? What else is in the bag? Let's see, what else do I have? All the new stuff is out, so we need on this one. Okay. Who's your partner? EMF meters. Now, spirit boxes are usually 2 people, just so you guys know. I like to have 2 sets of ears on there, just so that...
Oh.
No, it's normal, yeah, so it would be the 2 of you. So, just because I like 2 sets of ears. As far as what you've got going on, EMF meters...
Make.
She likes to interrupt, I like it. So, EMF meters measure 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. Okay, so they never explain these things on TV, so I like to give us, I don't want to give us any false hope. So really what this does, the first one's natural, it comes from the earth. That's why it's green, it's not doing anything. Our cell phones and electronic devices are going to make it go into a rhythm. Okay, so parking meters do the same thing. We don't want that either. What we do want is for this thing to go absolutely crazy. We want it to go nuts. So again, you are going to be our first person to let us know what's going on with that. And the 2 of you are going to, that's where you're going to pretty much stop when his thing is going nuts and you guys are going to be able to ask questions. It's kind of like a little hot spot. So, who's my last 2? All right, so this one in particular is a your standard Sb7 Spirit Box. It works the exact same way as the one that's the red one that's recording. However, it does not record. Of course, there's no lights over here, so I can't see anything. So, I'll get this set up for you real quick, and we will get you squared away with yours. So the two of you, same thing. Whatever you hear from a DJ, song lyric, or commercial is what I want to know. Come on, start sweeping. So, you two literally have one button. It's on the side of the speaker. You have to hold it up in order to get it to go up, the volume, and then you hold it down to get it to go down. It's on the speaker, right below the halfway point.
Okay, so if I hear something talking, I turn it off.
Well, here's the thing with the
understand.
spirit boxes, like the two that actually make noise. So I'll say spirit boxes up. Obviously, we don't have those things running when I'm telling stories and kind of giving you a little bit of history. So when I'll say spirit boxes up, because there will be certain areas where we kind of have to spread out a little bit. So you two will kind of have to stay away from each other, so that way you're not listening in on each other's spirit boxes. They're not synced together. So let's see. She's got a lot of lasers going on there. We can kill those for now. Let's see. I think I've got everything covered. So, questions, comments, concerns? Everybody happy with their teams?
Yeah.
All right. So within your parties, I know that you guys, like these two parties, are much smaller than your party of 6. But obviously, feel free to intermingle your pieces within your own party. The place where we are now obviously has some history. It is haunted. We're going to talk about this place. This place used to be called Big John's Tavern. So none of you are from here, correct? You guys are all out-of-towners. All right, so Big John's Tavern was here back in the 1970s, and it was named after and owned by Big John Kennedy. He was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. Sorry, I had to stop and remember the year for a second. Big John used to sit in the back of the bar, right through this window, and he would nod off to the bartender. Ooh, my bag's nice and light. Thank you all. So he would face. Interesting. It was like face mask, or the fact that all of your faces are covered. So anyway, we had the Citadel nearby, and the cadets would come over after training, and they would have a few drinks. Big John would tell the bartender if those cadets were of age or not. And one night, 2 guys came in. They weren't of age. Big John tells the bartender, "Get them out of here." So they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's going on. Of course, a bar brawl starts, and everybody's wrestling on the floor. A couple shots. What'd you get? Drama. Interesting. I like it. So, a couple of shots were fired, and John gets shot in the neck. The bullet ricochets and lands in the wall. After he's done beating up the 2 guys on the floor, he goes back to the bar, and he tells the bartender, "Get me another beer, and get them 2 an ambulance." Now, nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place? The bullet hole that ricocheted off John's neck with his blood on it, and it landed in the wall. So people that sit in the front of the bar, they get a little dizzy, queasy, nauseous, those kind of things. It's also the only place I've ever had EMF in that entire building, even with all the electrical things going on inside of there. Take that for what it's worth. But I also I love traffic. It's my best friend. So I also tell this story because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect any of you. I know how it's going to affect me, but if anybody feels headache, nauseous, queasiness, any of those things, I need to know immediately. I will tell you that I don't say that to scare you, because this is not a scary tour. This is a scientific tour. So it is just a literal health hazard. So let's get our minds off of our own health for a split second. We had a big earthquake in 1886. That's happy, right? So it's not us. 1888, we'll take it. So the mantle above your heads, this is allegedly where the first death occurred. A piece of that mantle broke off in the front of the building and killed somebody, and his ghost is said to be seen. What is that? A pawn. We might be able to make a sentence out of that one. So, but allegedly, this is where the first death occurred from that earthquake. That was just a legend and lore that I told you, that I heard from other tour guides. So take that for what it's worth as well. So you guys ready to go ghost hunting and learn more about your gadgets? You guys tired of hearing me talk yet? I was gonna say, you guys are really quiet, like super duper quiet, almost creepy quiet. All right, let's go ghost hunting, guys. All right.
No, I gotta figure out this light. How does this thing turn on?
Ask him.
Hold on.
Oh, there.
I got the word correct.
There's a lot.
Going crazy with that?
Yep, that's it. So let's bring it over here so I can talk a little bit more about your devices, and then we'll kind of dive into it. It's good that you're getting something already. Sometimes the EMF doesn't go off until we're leaving. Let's go ahead and turn those spirit boxes down. We are near horses, so this is what I call the big red barn lot. The horses are still inside, so the two of you with lasers, temperature, and PAMELA. So no lasers on this building. You will spook those horses, they will kick. So we also have to be mindful of other cars coming through. So this is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. So that's what this place is. So with that being said, the only history here is this is the
Creaking?
Creaking. Like step creaking. This is the same red barn where we kept horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So whenever I'm telling you a history or a quick scenario of a building, I'm always going to emphasize certain words for your spirit boxes. So I just told you that these were horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So also keep in mind during that time they delivered eggs as well. So you might see things like protein, calcium, delivery, carriage, people, you know, any of those things that might relate to those kind of time frame of what actually happened and occurred here. So spirit boxes, let's talk about those first because there's 3 pairs of you that have them. Spirit boxes, this is not TV. This isn't, is somebody here? Okay, so if somebody answers no, at first, somebody's here. They're lying to you. So the
Drill.
Drill? Okay, cool. You're getting a lot of stuff, which is good. So we'll see if any of that's like relevant as I look at it as a whole. So, what was that?
So Thelma needs to go stand next to her. So she hears things.
Oh, maybe we should have given you a spirit box. So what we want to stay away from, guys, are those yes and no questions. Okay, so is somebody here, yes or no? You guys are listening for radio stations, so if a real estate commercial comes on and he says the word houses, you think you heard yes. It's too easily mistaken for something else. So we're just going to stay away from yes or no questions. I think we can all agree that the barn is red, right? So it's not blue, green, yellow, or purple. So we can ask a simple question is, what color is that barn? If somebody's here, what color is the barn? You're going to wait about 30 seconds, listen or watch, and then ask again if you don't get a direct answer. During holiday time, because yours are slowed down, this is just an example, what color is the barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. We got the word red in there. There's a direct answer, even though I got Rudolph the and reindeer after the term that I needed. So it was still there. So I will take it. But with that said, if you don't get an answer after 2, 3, maybe 4 tries, I want you to open up your whole scenario and say, what's inside the barn? You know that they're animals, they're horses. The breed of those horses are draft horses. So you have the word draft, milk, calcium, eggs, carriage, anything relating to what might be inside that barn based on the history that I told you. This place is, this is an easy one. This is just to train you how to listen and watch for the right terms. The next location, it's almost like a quiz. Like, yeah, I'm going to be testing you. So I'm going to give you weird questions that I'm not going to give you the answers for, and it won't make any sense until you hear the correct answer out of your spirit boxes or out of your own 2 ears. Remote. Very interesting. Looks like we are holding a bunch of remotes. So I am going to work with the thermal team first and foremost, spirit box teams and laser teams. What I will tell you about the laser is that keep them off the cars because they are strong enough to make the car alarms go off. So, yeah, they're that strong, and I don't want to be rushing 10 people running behind me going, we got to go somewhere else. So that even goes for your temperature gauge, but I'm going to work with the temp team first and foremost because there's a lot more detail that goes into that. And the cool thing is you can watch that video and listen to what I'm telling them to train them a little bit further. So as far as spirit boxes go ahead and turn those things up. If you're going to be near those windows over there, there's no panes in there. It's an open air, so you need to be kind of just keep them at your own level so only the 2 of you can hear them. But I do want you guys to kind of spread out. Your EMF, it's going crazy. So go find a hotter spot than where we are now because we can almost debunk this that we're really close to a building. Okay. Is that fair? So temperature team, stick with me for a second, but everybody else can pretty much spread out. Yeah, take lots and lots of pictures. All right. So let's go through this whole scenario real quick. So I want you to point that at the wall for me. should have mainly one color, correct?
Yep.
I want you to try to keep somebody's skin in view at all times. We have a pretty good sized group here, because look what happens when you have somebody's skin.
Yep.
The wall behind me changed.
Yep.
So
I've been doing that this entire time.
So we really want to try to have somebody in view at all times. So I'm going to show you a video here shortly, but I'm going to give you a little bit more direction on what your purpose is, because I know it's like, oh, this is lame. He gave me 2 thermometers. But really, with your red laser, go ahead and, like, what temperature do you have from the wall?
From the wall, I have 50.
Okay.
Just shoot your gun. Don't worry about this guy just yet. Shoot the gun at the wall.
56.4.
Okay, so you have 56.4, and you have what?
I'm standing right about 50.
50?
Yep.
That's kind of crazy. That's metal.
Now it's 49.8.
Okay, that sounds a little bit better. So really what we're looking for is for his, because his is always going to be higher. So if his drops below what your surface temperature is,
Right.
then you probably have something going on, because he's also catching the air in between, whereas you're not. Until you start using that. You can almost put this in your pocket for now.
Okay.
Until we absolutely need to have it. But really what you guys are going to be doing, and again, please be careful with vehicles and windows.
Yeah.
Make sure lasers go into responsible adults. So, so with that said, you guys are going to be basing what's going on with your, thermometers, and if you're actually capturing anything based on the different temperatures. So if you're going to be having something, say 49, and he's all of a sudden down to 46, it's a 3-degree difference, but you still might have something going on.
Sure.
So let me show you a quick video of something I actually caught with that thing, so you know what you're looking for. Let me bring it up here. Sorry, I normally have it. I need to have this at a quicker shortcut. I do a lot of social media, as I'm sure you can imagine. All right, so this is our next location that we're going to. And this orange that you see across the middle, that's a wall. Do you see the 2 living heads walking past it?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. I'm sorry, did you catch it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to fast forward just a hair, and you're going to see 2 dead people going the opposite way, right about here. Dead, dead. So you're looking for those blue and black spots to move on.
All right.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've had mechanics and firemen and everybody else that uses that as a tool. Like, that's not an app or anything like that. Like, that's a legitimate thermal imaging camera.
Sure.
So, again, I wanted the real deal for the tour, just so you guys had something else extra to work with. And it's one of the coolest things I have. It just doesn't always catch the most evidence, because it is, it's moving all the time.
Sure.
So again, just that's what you're looking for, blue and black to move on their own, gauge the temperatures, obviously try to keep somebody in view at all times, even if it's each other. Swap out if your hands get tired, and I will follow up from time to time to make sure that your red square is still a square.
Okay.
So just kind of keep an eye on that for me, make sure it doesn't turn to a circle. Circle is bad. So have some fun. You got different kinds of materials in here: metal, asphalt, wood, foliage, all kinds of things. So test out your guns, see what the differences are, and see how they work together. That's the whole point of this, is so that you can see what ghost hunting is actually like, instead of the crappy TV shows that they keep airing.
Yeah, I've watched them too. You're looking at me.
I'm looking at people.
What are you at? Temperature.
Well, I probably shouldn't point this at the car then.
No.
Well, right.
What color is this barn?
Now.
57?
Yep, 57.
So we're about the same.
Okay, well then we need to walk around a little bit more, and I need to keep someone in my camera. Remember not to point that at cars.
No, I'm not pointing at a car. I'm actually pointing it down.
What is their one up?
I'm at 61.7.
Yeah, we're still really close.
Okay.
Power.
56.1.
Why do you need power?
See, now it's at 52 again.
Where are you aiming at?
Towards the red barn.
I'm aiming at them.
49.
Yep, 52.
Okay, good.
I imagine this first area we're gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, and actually it's at 49.8 now. I don't want to hit them.
Well, I just gotta keep someone in my view.
I'm not pointing it at them, so.
I gotta get closer.
I'm assistant professor at University of Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay. And my supervisor, my boss, was at MMA. And was another guy who did MMA. Usually that there kind of jobs going. Okay. So lots of opportunities academic life at MMA because it's often perceived as a terminal degree. Right. Equivalent to PhD. Right.
And to be honest, I wanted it just like if I got a job. It was all on a personal level, and everything just escalated. Like I was working retail for 5 years, and I walked away. It was just, I need to be happy. And you work for somebody else. That's
55.4.
can't do it. So, let me follow up with some of these other books. Sounds like we got a lot to talk about.
No, you're hitting hard.
All right, what are we catching on this thing? What do we got going on?
Wins easy.
Paul.
I want to see the barn. It makes it go down.
Animals.
Alright, I'm going at the barn.
What kind of animals are in the barn?
You're aiming at the ground, bud. We're at the second.
There it is, 49.8.
And I'm a little bit above you, which it's
Yeah.
supposed to be, so.
Yeah, so we're really not hitting anything.
Not right now.
There's Boo. You can go across. We're not gonna.
I'm recording all of you.
Yeah, now it really. Now I'm up to like 59.
What do we got going on? You guys get that thing figured out?
You might be hitting Landon.
So, as soon as we walked away, it said power,
Okay.
and then it said, give me the power.
Oh, so you got power twice.
Yeah, and then we said, how do we give, or we said, why do you need power? And it said exciting.
Oh.
And then we said, how do we give you power? And twice it said, breathe out.
It's almost like a meditation. So you have to imagine, I work with a lot of psychics too. So of course, there's always a meditation piece before we understand it. And just between me and the psychic. And I never tell them where we're going or what's going on with the place.
What do you got? Temperature?
I heard your name.
Hold on.
I lost you.
I'm at 58.
Cam.
I'm pointing at the car.
I'm not pointing it below the car.
Okay, so the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about the same.
Yeah. Okay. DC9.
Probably be very. Alright, guys. So what do we got on this? That bumps around on the Watch that laser on the building. I didn't know where it's coming from because there's two red ones. So we haven't heard anything yet, but we have the gist of how it works.
We just asked for that director power.
Right. And again, it's not always going to be a direct answer. We could get those answers anywhere. Any of the 5 places that are recording right now. So it could be audio, or the 3 different spirit boxes. You might say the colors are on. They're going to work right in there. So
51.9.
On what?
I'm right by them.
On the ground?
Yeah. 52.5.
Yep.
and if somebody turn around and say, show the number 10. And you take 7.
I have to keep this on people.
Yeah.
You guys seem like
We walked away and it said power, and then it said give me power. And we asked,
why it needed power, and it said exciting. And then we said, how do we give you power? And it said breathe it out.
It also said car.
Government? How is the government connected to the barn? But that's what you got here.
Let's gather everybody up. Let's get out of their way, guys. Let's head over here for a second. All right. Any weird temperature differences between the two of you?
Nope.
No, we've been pretty even.
Okay, so tell us the phrases that you guys heard again.
It said power, and then it said give me power, and we said why do you need power, and it said exciting, and we said how do we give you power, and he said breathe out, and that breathe out came twice.
So
We then asked that, how is he connected to the barn if he says the government?
Oh, very interesting. Not that I know that we had government horses in here, but it is very interesting. Again, I don't know everything, guys. I mean, there's stuff that I still learn every single morning when I have to go through all your data.
You know what I'm
Any
wondering?
other interesting terms from you?
Winds. That was the, I don't know, information.
Pretty vague stuff then, huh?
Yeah.
Nothing specific. Okay. And then you guys said you haven't heard anything out of yours yet. All right, cool. Does everybody pretty much have the gist of how their tools work? All right, let's go learn some real history then. Let's go up this way.
So,
I'm trying. I just didn't look at the spelling.
If I were to have a grand finale, this would be it. There is a ton of activity here. Every one of your devices has given me some type of major evidence in this location. So, what was this place? This was home to Eliza and Charles Pinckney. They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. However, I hate politics. We just came out of an election. Let's move on.
Crossover.
Oh, that's an interesting term. So, let's talk about Eliza. Eliza is way more interesting than the son and the nephew. So Eliza married Charles at a young age because her father was dying over in England. Okay, again, keep in mind I'm giving you terms. I'm boring KRISTY. I thought she was going to be my big fan. So,
Oh, I'm good. I'm just asleep.
yeah. It's been one of those days. I've been kind of the same way before I came to meet you guys. The dogs woke me up.
58.6.
Let's see, where was I? So Eliza married Charles at a young age. Hopefully you can find out what age that was. That's a good question for you to ask Eliza when I set you guys free in here. But he thought he was dying and she didn't want to go home. He wanted all his kids at home before he died and she didn't want to go, so she got married. So she was right. He didn't die and he got better. And he started sending over gifts to Eliza, like wedding gifts. And one of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. You guys have been driving around for at least a day or so. You've seen that word at least once, I'm sure. Indigo is a blue dye, or it's a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Half of you are wearing it tonight. That's the way how we use it. So her garden was kind of set up over there and then came all the way over to this side of the lot. The mansion was in the front of this lot facing East Bay Street, and we are standing where the servants and slave quarters would have been. So a couple weird facts about Eliza. Well, let's finish off the indigo story. It started here. Our rice plantations were going downhill, so we needed a new cash crop to save South Carolina. She used her dad's contacts overseas, made it a huge cash crop, and it saved all 13 colonies. Eliza Pinckney is a very big deal for us here. However, there's no site here for you to see it for another tour. So we're going to ghost hunt it, and hopefully Eliza and Charles will come through for you. Here's a couple of weird things about Eliza. She's the second wife named Eliza from Charles. She goes by her maiden name, not her middle name, her maiden name, Eliza blank Pinckney. So does the first wife. They both start with L. That's all I'm going to tell you. So hopefully she'll be able to tell you what her maiden name was. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's a pretty simple, straightforward question. I will tell you that it was after her lifetime, but she still knows what happened to her beautiful home. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death. How old she was, where did she die, where is she buried, what did she die from, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. If that tells you how important she was, it was a pretty prominent president. I'm not going to tell you which one.
Mount Pleasant.
That's where Snee Farm is. When they had to move the indigo crop and her experiments from here, they moved it over to Snee Farm, which is in Mount Pleasant. I don't know that it was called Mount Pleasant back then, but that's where it is now. So we're talking colonial times, also where there was no such thing as a businesswoman. So I want you guys to kind of keep in mind that there's only one way in and out of here for vehicles, and that's exactly where that truck is. So light is not going up, it's not blinking. So there's a light on the back of that restaurant over there that I kind of use as a barometer of how much activity we're going to get, because it will go in sync with the EMF meter that we have when it is pulsing. It's different every night. So I don't know what kind of activity we're going to get out of here tonight, but we do have a lot of EMF going crazy already. They've never done an archaeological dig here, so this ground is just covered with asphalt. There's no electrical lines underneath it. There's no reason for that thing to be going off. Your spirit boxes, this is a great place for you to turn. So that could be related to Charles. So you might be poking some questions around with Charles. So we're going to definitely turn those spirit boxes up in here. Lasers, we're going to keep off the vehicles and below the confines of the wall. So do not make it go above the wall. So that's all lasers. And again, keep them off the vehicles. As far as video goes with your thermal imaging camera, some people get a little funny about their vehicles being filmed, even though they understand that it's a thermal imaging camera. So at that point, you're just holding a cell phone. So if anybody intervenes, I'll jump in. Nobody ever has, but I do say, hey, stop filming my car. And that's about as far as it goes. So let's have some fun in here. Ask a bunch of questions. Shooting. This is going to get interesting with you. Yeah, that won't make any sense during this time. Let's have some fun in here. Ask a million questions. I'm going to bounce around with all of you, kind of make sure we're all on the right path. You guys are more than welcome to come and see what's going on with the other here.
59.5 towards the wall, below the wall.
Yeah, I think you're getting one of them.
What?
59.
No, here, let me do it again.
Yeah.
57.7.
Yep.
That's what you have?
Yep.
Okay. 57.3. I don't know, we're not at 50. $51.6.
On.
On them?
They're in the same pattern. Then they probably
Where on them?
I'm at his leg. See where the red light went?
Nope.
Right there.
Oh, off his leg. Okay. I mean,
Would you have? Now jump to 59.
yeah, that's more correct.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get mine to be lower.
Lower
than yours.
than mine. Exactly.
Okay, that's why streets like that. So my wife, she went to school for photography and graphic design. Okay. So anytime I see an anomaly and I can't figure it out, it goes, and then she'll tell me it's the bunker. And she taught me a lot about light, especially with the lights that I use. You know, this kind of thing.
55-4. I'm just behind this guy or whatever. Just pointing towards them.
Fireplace?
What if we go hit the dumpster? Probably, yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at 48-7. Dumpster.
Yeah, that's about right. I'm at 48
Yeah.
or 49.
No, it's when yours jumps way below.
How can we help you?
By her is 53.
Where?
By mom. So it's probably pretty close to yours.
Yep, it is. There's got to be other objects we can aim it at, right? Besides cars and...
On the wall now. 6-1. What do you got?
I'm on her right now and I had 60
I'm at 55. 54.5.
on her. On her leg.
Yeah.
Hold on, my thing.
Still on her.
Okay.
Okay.
This was a good angle.
And who knows, once he gets through that, we won't even know. Something could have went across and we don't even know it.
I've been watching.
Yeah.
We asked what her son's name was,
On his leg, I'm about 51.8.
Over
Over in that area.
but yeah, it's going crazy.
If I just barely missed his leg, I
So
hit that.
really what you should be looking for are patterns. So if you can find a pattern in it, you can tap your foot to a rhythm, then it's probably a bump. But I know this lot. Here's one thing. So it's more than like that's pretty nice. Yeah. And again, the rest of it, if I were to have a range now, this would be it.
We haven't been over where Mom and Landon are.
No, you're not.
Shoot it. Leg.
Was it gonna
You weren't going to report the fire.
You're way below.
What weren't you going to report?
No, I'm above you.
Oh. I'm at 52.
You have to hold it still. You might be hitting the keep it on so that you can see what you're aiming at.
Did someone start the fire on purpose? I can't answer yes or no.
Who started the
When I
fire?
hit the ground, I hit 52.
Who started the fire?
Okay.
Here's dollars. Did you have insurance on the house? Is that why you want insurance? Okay.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep.
The video camera is hanging out of my cargo
You have to hear that.
That is usually running on my phone, my clip, and he sees what's going on. The EMS in my coat pocket.
I'm right behind him.
I just got I'm all loaded up. I have a smaller bag I carry, so I can move the voice recorder.
I think when he says shooting on cars, he means cars that are driving. He doesn't
No,
want the
I think
laser.
he said don't hit in the window or they'll set their car
Alright, guys,
alarm
how
off.
we doing over here?
going on?
We've been getting a pretty good amount of nothing.
Good amount of nothing?
Yeah.
Again, it's not the most
No, we
capturing.
We're usually no, it's fine. Like, I'll tell him where I'm aiming, like over by her.
Yeah.
And then he'll look and.
We usually don't have any temperature differences, so
So the video that I showed you was up in that corner.
over there.
Yep, that's where that video was. Remember I showed you there
Yeah.
was a wall across? And the reason why they called me over there, I forgot to tell you, was because they saw shadows, and I went up there to go debunk it. And I didn't catch that video until the next morning. So again, I just need you to be a video cameraman all night. So
Yeah.
if you don't see anything, it's fine. I'm going to look at it in the morning, see what you
you
guys...
may see something that we don't see because you do it all the time.
Right, and not to mention, I'm going to watch it on my TV.
Yeah.
I send it over through YouTube first, so I can watch it,
Yeah.
and, you know, pause and do all that stuff. And if it's something that's really questionable, like I get some freeze frames in there. It's good stuff.
Sure.
But follow up with the one other group real quick.
Yep.
But I mean, again, you guys are cameramen, kind of learning about thermodynamics.
Sure.
Oh, the other cool thing you can actually capture, and I forgot to mention this to you, is you can also see thermodynamics in reverse. So we're obviously looking for cold spots, but thermodynamics law number 2 says that temperature isn't created; it has to balance. So if you catch something growing in temperature at a very quick rate, like 5 to 10 degrees in a 5-second time period, that means that there's a cold spot generating somewhere nearby.
Okay.
I just don't want people searching for the cold spot. The thermodynamics in reverse is also something of evidence to show like something is pulling the energy out of the air. Let's watch out for this white truck. He's probably out there. But yeah, if you do happen to catch that, then that's something you definitely want to stay focused on.
All right. I will watch.
Yeah. I think we go into that corner. Sit over there. Over there.
Yeah. Stay in front of me so I have a body.
Right. You can see my laser then, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't see it on the camera, but I can
Yeah.
see it.
60.2.
There.
59. 61.
I probably got to get closer.
62. 60. 61.8. 62. 62.4.
Try to hold it in one spot. Okay, yeah, we're staying around the same.
Alright.
I'll just hold still for a second so I can look around the background with you standing there.
behind me.
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
I was just saying, that's okay. Then you could check the difference.
Well, I think
Macy's.
I don't know the range of something
It
like
doesn't
this.
matter. I'm not pointing a laser at it.
Alright, we should probably keep walking around.
Alright. $57.5 at the white wall by the 42.
Just hold it still so it can keep taking the temp.
$59.5. 3. No, it's gonna change. It'll keep changing. It's not gonna stay the same. So it's right around 59.5.
I'm running around 65.
Why is mine so low and yours so high?
Try getting closer.
59.5. I'm still at 59.7.
Oh, it might be because I don't have you in the...
Here, right I'm at 59.9.
Okay, yeah. I'm down to 61 now.
Okay.
What's the fire in?
She's getting into this.
Eliza, how old were you when you died? I like the history of Ruth.
There's a lot there. I'm barely
$57.
When
You see where it is right down on the ground.
I'm within 2 degrees.
Okay. What are you saying?
I guess there's probably someone exiting through the door.
Right now they did.
Yeah, I think it was.
But you were starting to move before that person.
Yeah, but there must have been someone else because there's another hot thing that moved past the wall.
Alright. 57. That dropped to 50, now 55.
Go on in front of me. Why don't we follow that wall around? And just start going that way.
Okay.
And you're in front of me, so I have good...
Starting at the corner, one to the right. $60.8. I'm not gonna clear it this time. It's still
Don't move too fast. I gotta catch up to you.
See, now it dropped down to 58. Right here.
Yeah, I'm within a couple degrees.
Yeah, I'm running somewhere around the 55 range.
And I'm usually around 57.
I'm at 53 right here.
Let me back up a little bit. Yeah, 54 and 53.
Okay.
Alright guys, I'm going to do a quick wrap up over here and see what everybody caught.
That's a lot of broken glass.
We asked about what happened to the house, and it said fire.
Correct.
And several times we asked how the fire started, and it kept saying baby,
And the power took advantage of it.
and the power took advantage. And we asked who started the fire, and it said thumbs. And it wouldn't tell us her maiden name. And then when he was over, it said three. Just
Yeah.
kind of out of the blue.
I want to get us away from the, in case somebody else comes flying here. But I'm going to give you guys why all these terms are relevant here in a second. So give me the words that you guys have that you feel are relevant, or what I think are relevant.
We had uncle and association and warrior.
Warrior makes sense.
It's got Elias.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if any of that. Elias pops up a lot because that would be an oldie timey name, so it's part of that 80%, but they're trying to make it spooky.
Okay.
And you guys haven't heard anything yet. Tell us what you heard when we first broke away.
Yeah, when you were talking about what was her maiden name, not so much, it's not so much hearing it, it's like knowing it,
Okay.
like an impression, and it was Lucas.
Correct. So, she did ask me if Lucas was the maiden name, or if Lucas meant anything to me, and that is Eliza Pinckney's maiden name. So when you're looking up the Indigo Girl, as we call her here in Charleston, it's Eliza Lucas Pinckney. The insignificant first wife, Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So they both start with L. So the house did burn down in the Great Fire of 1861. It wasn't anything that happened to the house intentionally. It was a fire throughout Charleston. So the number 3 might be the number of square miles. So that's what I'm going to be looking into. I'm not going to say for certain, but again, I'm going to learn something hopefully in the morning. The word uncle that showed up, I did tell you that the nephew of Charles Pinckney was also a signer of the Constitution. So that makes sense. We got the word uncle. We're going to take that. Courageous. Did I hear courageous somewhere? Or warrior? So Thomas Pinckney, the son of Eliza and Charles, was a ambassador for the government at the time. And he also served and led the big Battle of Camden, which was just south of us. So that was a big deal too. There was a wound in there. There was a word wound that I thought I heard. He got wounded pretty badly in the kneecap, and that usually tends to show itself too. The word baby, I tell you guys not to use. I don't even usually bring up the kids anymore, other than that son that signed the Constitution, because I don't want people asking questions. There was a tragedy there. Eliza and Charles lost a infant son. I don't know if the baby was days old or weeks old. So again, they named the baby George after her father. So we did hear the word baby. I will take that. Sometimes she wants to bring it up. And I think you guys asked
Well, I asked how old her son was when he died.
Yeah, and
So
I
then
did,
maybe she said that.
right. She just
he
now
died
told me
at
about
the-
baby.
Yeah.
So again, sometimes Eliza will bring it up, but I usually don't bring it up. It's because activity normally stops for as far as the paranormal activity, because it's a tragedy. Sometimes she wants to talk, sometimes she doesn't. So here's the answers to the questions that I had you guys ask. Obviously, the Great Fire of 1861. Eliza died at the age of 70 while doing business in Philadelphia from breast cancer. Colonial Times, we're guessing at the breast cancer. Depends on which website you read. That's also where she's buried. So a lot of people ask me how many cemeteries are we going to go visit on Stories in the Cemetery. You're walking through one. Most cemeteries, not haunted. All right, if you're dead, you're going to hang out where you're buried. You're going to hang out in places that you'd love to be. So that's why Stories in a Cemetery is, we're walking through one giant one because of all of our great fires and tragedies here. So let's see what else. George Washington was the president that was the pallbearer at her funeral. And again, just like I told KRISTY, and I'm sorry, I lost your name, bud. Jonathan. So KRISTY and Jonathan, I told them, I didn't even know that fact until I was doing this tour a few months ago, and I got the same EVP twice. And it wasn't just George, because that would make sense. It was Eliza's father and her son. I got George Washington twice in 1 week. That's not a term you hear often on the radio. So take that for what it's worth. And I kind of I did the research and found the connection there. Let's see, what else did I have you guys ask? Was that about covered it on the deaths?
What color was the house? Because we asked that, we thought we heard gray.
We asked it too, but we didn't hear it.
So that question has been asked several times, and there are no color pictures of this house. The only pictures of this house that remain are after the fire of 1861, and it's a sketch drawing. It's a wood carved drawing kind of thing you would find in old timey books. There is a description from her daughter in her book. Her name was Harriet, by the way. Her and Eliza used to write letters back and forth because she married somebody and had to move up towards the Georgetown, Myrtle Beach area, which is just north of here. So they wrote letters because travel wasn't easy back then.
It's got hail.
Could mean a lot of things, actually, during those times. But there is a very descriptive part of the floor plan in that book, and that's really the only description we have of the house. So again, take that for what it's worth. I can look at that picture all day long and guess where things are, and that's kind of how I give you where the garden was. The carriage house was over there. The fire started over here in this corner, kind of thing. So we are going to walk up to our next haunted location. It's about 4 blocks away. It is definitely a no laser zone. So we're going to be walking up East Bay Street to Lodge Alley. Those of you with spirit boxes, please keep listening for names. I'm not going to give you which names to listen for or why until we actually get to Lodge Alley. So I think we have to definitely take a look at some of the thermal imaging cameras and listening to the spirit boxes on the recording level to see what we can actually capture. So again, they're not the easiest things in the world to listen for. You guys ready to go up to our next spot? Any more questions about Eliza or Charles that I can hopefully answer?
No,
All right, let's go.
They just said, what do you do?
What do you do?
Interesting.
You guys got me talking a lot. One step up, 3 down. Careful.
Great. Let somebody fall already? gonna put this away. They're gonna think I'm carrying a gun.
Fair enough.
What?
Fair enough.
Your schools might be closed.
The amount of times I have actually faced this.
Those spirit boxes turned down. Alright, so this is considered a quiet area because this is a hotel, so we're going to be somewhat brief here. So this is Lodge Alley. You guys are leaning on Lodge Alley Inn. It's obviously named after this alley. You're now inside the original Charlestown walls. So this would have been one of our first streets here in Charleston. You can see it's just wide enough for horse and carriage, horse and buggy, whatever your term is. So when we first came down, we stopped to take some pictures. I always get light anomalies down here. When I say listen for names on your spirit boxes, by the way, did anybody hear any names?
Yes.
What did you hear?
We heard, in the first block we were in, we heard Owen and Gordon. And then when he came back by me, I said to him, I heard Owen and Gordon, and it said okay.
Okay.
And then we heard Owen a second time.
Okay. So,
I heard Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz.
That's not like really what you're looking for. I did hear Dr. Oz.
So was that the phrase that you heard, or you actually heard Dr. Oz?
It said Dr. Oz heals or something.
So there's an interesting thing about a doctor that I'm going to tell you about once we leave here, and we're close by of the doctor story. That would actually make sense. So I'll get into that at our next location because we'll be closer to it. The reason why I tell you to listen for names is this used to be a street where people lived. So shotgun houses, 2-room houses, however you want to call it. But I do have that full list of residents with their occupations of every person that's ever lived down here. So very interesting things come out of this place. I used to just tell one of my old stories of when I used to work with a psychic, but I started getting a lot of evidence out of here. So any weird terms out of you?
I had Russian, rumor, ocean, 5, set.
Okay, so ocean, let's talk about that for a second. The peninsula of Charleston during these times would have been much skinnier. The buildings we see down there, because the water's this way, would not have been there. The smell of low tide would have been sweeping right through here. So considered lower class, not to mention the size of their homes. And I really must be boring. I see a lot of yawning. Either that or you guys are exhausted. So they did do an archaeological dig here, guys. They found some of their tools and their silverware, some of their clothes, like just little article pieces of their clothing. They did consider these people lower class. There's a full 75-page report on the archaeological dig that has a list of residents. It's a very interesting report. So if something comes up relevant, I'll obviously give you that link so you guys can check it out and tell you which pages to look at as far as the dig and the things like that.
I just got tumor.
Tumor. That's an interesting term. So the Masons also used to meet down here. So before it was residents that lived here, the Masons would come down. So we're about to cut through a neighborhood. It's definitely a quiet zone for spirit boxes and definitely a no laser zone. By Charleston law, I'm not allowed to be a tour guide in the neighborhood, so we're just going to be 11 friends passing through with a bunch of really cool devices. So until we get to our next location, for the two of you, I'm going to point out an alley that we're going to walk past, and then I'm going to tell the doctor story once we get to our next location, because I'm going to find that as relevant. It keeps popping up. It's an alley that we're not allowed to go down anymore as tour guides and take you guys there because it's really cool, but it's considered a resident area. So people do live on that alley. So we're not allowed to go through there anymore, but yet things from that story keep popping through on my tours. So you guys are going to kind of get a little bonus story once we get to our next location. So let's go learn something about the legends and lore of Charleston instead of, you know, just trying to find things on the device. You're going to be the last one out and take 2 pictures at least.
Okay. Back down the alley.
Yep, back down the other way. Okay.
You're probably fine.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not like we can.
laser.
Yeah. It's not like we could stop and scan temperatures right now, anyways.
I'm not so chilly because I'm playing with hot hands in my pocket. I usually have them in my gloves, but I didn't put gloves for that. You know that it's not my gloves. You guys are doing great listening in on that thing. It's actually the harder one to listen to.
Almost there.
Just almost there.
Got everybody? Am I walking too quick? I used to be a manager for Walmart.
Oh,
Which means I know how to run around pretty quickly. My wife always tells me to slow my roll. I'm not a retail manager anymore. This is the alley I want everybody to kind of take note of. Look how beautiful it is. I want to be.
So you haven't been sweating. I haven't really been sweating. All I want to know is when are we doing Dark Knight and beer again in my house? Ooh, that's what I want to know. Yeah.
So, we're going to stop at this cemetery real quick. This is a very common spot. This is kind of the legends and lore portion of your tour. And we do have one full, like, ongoing investigation at the last stop. So just kind of everybody knows what's going on here. So there is a sign just inside this cemetery that says there's no ghost at St. Philip's besides the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for that. 1888, Sue Howard Hardy died 6 days after her stillborn child. 1987, we have a local photographer in town and he's taking pictures of all of our cemeteries. He captures a full apparition, a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. It's 1987, no Photoshop, no cell phones, nothing of any kind to be able to debunk this. So he sends it to Kodak. You know, more people in the group. That's a company that used to develop film. So again, Kodak can't debunk the picture. So it is what it is. The picture is cursed. I don't show it on my tours. As you can imagine, I'm very superstitious. So females that hold it do not feel well. Same symptoms I told you guys about back at Big John's. Females that are pregnant and holding it, probably not going to have a good pregnancy. I'm not going to be the guy who gets a phone call 9 months later just because somebody had a really good time on their vacation. So take that for what it's worth. It's on the audio if you want to look it up. If anything pops up out of the spirit boxes that's related to Sue Howard Hardy, I'll give you a link, but it's up to you if you want to see that picture or not, to be able to click that link. So again, this is a very popular spot. So we're going to move down just a little bit now that all of the teenage kids are clearing out. I want to talk about that doctor and point out something. Did you guys all notice the beautiful alley to your left as we came up here? Yeah. That's Philadelphia Alley. So let me go point out something you can see from
When we
here.
were passing the alley, it said generation.
I got almost there.
Okay. I think it's word alley.
I saw 2 people in the alley.
That doorway off
There
in
was.
the distance.
What?
You guys see that
Yep,
doorway?
I saw him.
So that Philadelphia Alley back there used to be called Dueller's Alley. That's where the duels would occur for Charleston. So the loser of the duel, when there was a loser, would come through that gate, over this courtyard, over to the cemetery we just took a glance at. Nobody ever talks about why that door is there, and it is original. So I call it the Death Gate. We did put a wrought iron gate in there now. I would say it probably within the last 60 years or so, but it is pretty old. So the word doctor that you heard earlier from Dr. Oz, remember Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? All I needed was red. All I needed was doctor. So there was a doctor that moved to Charleston. You guys can have a seat. This is going to be like a few minutes over here. Chill out for a second. A lot of stops go up there, so I try to stay out of their way. Got a red light going on in your pocket. So
Just happy to see you.
We're going to keep it PG. So there was a doctor that moved down here because his fiance just inherited a bunch of money, and the attorney handling that money said, "You're not getting married. I think the doctor is just after your money." So he comes down here to Charleston, and the coachman that sets him into, like, brings him into town, sets him up to be robbed and killed. Sorry I haven't told this story in a while because, again, we had to cut that part out of our tour. But he's set up. He's going to get killed. So somebody walking by named Ralph Isaacs sees exactly what's happening, and he says, "No, buddy, you don't want to stay here. Let me take you somewhere else." So he takes him to 59 Church Street. We're standing on Church Street, so it's about a mile that way. So at any rate, the two become friends. Ralph is an attorney here in town, but the doctor is doing really well. So he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. His fiancee Amanda is going to be moving down soon, and he's going to be a pretty happy guy. So he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. If you Google the Whistling Doctor, this is the story you're going to hear, but it's very long. I'm trying to keep it brief for you. So at any rate, the two become friends, but they go see plays, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes way more money than the attorney. So they have to sit in different seats. They talk about these plays on the way home. One night they start arguing about the actress that was in town. The doctor loves her, Ralph does not. It turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home. They obviously get pretty pissed off at each other and go their separate ways. Now, Ralph is from here. He's got ties to the newspaper. So he decides he's going to put an ad in the paper about what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. The doctor sees it. He rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Keep in mind, 75% of duels did not end in death. Our romantic way of looking at things and piracy and all that stuff, it's not the way it happened. Most times it was shot into the air or into the ground. They just wanted to make a point. So the doctor, his name is Joseph Brown Ladd, by the way. So if you guys hear Joseph Brown or Ladd, that would be pretty common. So they come down, take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to make a point. Ralph took a shot on the kneecap on the doctor. It might have been a little lower, but the story goes that it was in the kneecap. There's only one shot, of course, because we're talking 1800s. So instead of dying and coming through the death gate and going to his grave, his friends pick him up and they carry him home, where he dies 10 days later. The doctor could not heal himself. So they say as you walk through that alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor and or a gunshot. So again, the doctor story is great because when I used to take people through there, spirit boxes are off because this is the tool that we're listening for. We want to hear those whistles. We do get a lot of hecklers that'll just whistle as they walk by. But the fact that you heard doctor, that we were that close by Lodge Alley, we were literally half a block away. So I'm going to kind of take that and I'll give you the links to read the doctor story on your own even further. Let's talk about some of the other legends that we have. Everybody see the gas lamp that's flashing in the background past the cemetery? There's two sides of the cemetery, by the way. The east side is for native Charlestonians. That side's for everybody else. That's where John Calhoun is buried, that we talked about earlier. He's in a sarcophagus. You can go visit him above ground. But right past that, where that gas lamp is, that's the pirate house. So that's where Blackbeard's men would come off their ships. And they would go have a drink, meet with a few girls, and then they dug a tunnel from the pirate house 1 block away over to the Dock Street Theater. So the Dock Street Theater at the time was Planter's Hotel, where it had prostitution. So you can imagine why the pirates dug a hole. Not to mention it did still have plays. They would actually put on shows there. Pirates are very good at nuts, right? So they would actually go over there and make a few dollars by working. So again, the pirate house, somebody lives there now. If you want to go visit it, it has a giant anchor on the front. You can't miss it when you're walking through the city of Charleston. So let's tie St. Philip's to the Dock Street Theater. There's a couple of ghosts at Dock Street Theater that relate to the church. So the church is actually, I told you about the earthquake, 1886. The church is actually leaned a little bit, just barely off, just so you know. It's not perfectly straight, but it is our tallest steeple that we have. So Dock Street Theater, there was a young lady that, she was working here at the church because she was past the marrying age of 17. Nobody wanted to marry her at the age of 23. She was an old maid. But she saw the prostitution going on down at Planter's Hotel. So she went down there to go get a job, put on her best red dress, and she's the best loved girl in the whole place. She's still not happy. She goes up to the balcony all the time. You can see the steeple of the church from up there. And she wants to come back to the church. So the priest goes down there one night trying to convince her to come back. Storm rolls in, lightning strikes the wrought iron banister that she's leaned on, and she's dead. So, why is this story so significant? We're going to let this group pass by because he's going to go right up to that gate.
You're fine, so we'll come over.
Oh, you're good.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Okay. Interesting. So, the ghost of Nettie Dickerson, the lady that worked here at the church that wanted to come back to the church, you could see her ghost from the knees up only. Why? Because when we renovated that Dock Street Theater, we raised that first floor ceiling, so she's walking on that floor that she knows. I'm sorry, we were making it for you.
No, I just didn't want to cut you off.
But yeah, she's walking on that floor that she knows. So somebody had to figure out why they had such a short ghost with no bottom of her dress.
Unclear.
What's that?
Unclear.
Oh. And what's funny about her apparition is they say that it's actually red, like her red dress. You don't hear of too many apparitions that there's color involved. So, very interesting story there. So, we're actually, where are they? People are all up in my way tonight. As you guys can notice, like, there's a lot of groups out tonight, a group of 20. So, and they're listening to stories on the street corner. And I know that's exactly what we're doing now, but we're still getting terms, right? So, I know you guys aren't exactly listening. We're getting other stuff over here. We're going to go across the street and we're going to learn about some pirates. And then we're going to investigate a female pirate. How's that sound? I'm not boring you all to death yet. We got one last investigation. Over here, 29. No, he was not there. So we're gonna cut across the street. So, some of those legends and lore, you guys need to hear those stories, because when you look up Haunted Charleston, those are all the stories you find. So you need to hear some of the truths that come behind them. And when we get, words and phrases that are wrapped around that, it's pretty cool. And yes, I'm a big fan of parking lots, in case you guys couldn't notice. So I like to stay out of everybody's way so you guys get a chance to explore. It just makes it more fun. So we're actually going to be talking about that building that's behind you with the crosses on it. That is our powder magazine. It's a museum now. You can visit it. It's very inexpensive. No, I'm not a sponsor. But that is our oldest government building on the East Coast. So I want you all to remember I told you that the Charlestown walls were already up, and when we crossed over Cumberland Street, this is Cumberland Street. So the Charlestown wall for the city came up this road, up half a block past that, and then cut over down south towards the middle of the peninsula. So that is in the very corner of what the original Charlestown walls were. 1713 is when that building was finished. The reason why it's so far in from the water, which is this way, the cannonball came striking this way and it actually got hit. The roof is filled with sand from 1712. It's still there. The walls are 32 inches thick. The blast would be contained if it were to actually get hit by a cannonball and not ruin the walls or any other neighboring buildings. So that was in 1712 and 1713. It has served in 7 different wars. No deaths occurred there, no prisoners, and it was just very successful in what it was aimed to do. This is the female pirate I'm about to tell you about. Is just from the same time period. That's why she's allegedly hanging out here. This is a newer part of my tour. Normally I would take you guys down Philadelphia Alley with the doctor and go somewhere else. But I'm still learning all of this story. I've read several books on Anne Bonny, and hopefully you guys are going to give me some more answers based on your questions. I've trained you long and hard over the past 90 minutes. You guys can come up with your own questions. But let's learn about Anne real quick. So Anne moved here with her father from Ireland. She was the illegitimate child of her father's maid. So the father, getting away from his wife, picked up his mistress and his child and moved to Charleston from Ireland. Now, this would have been 1708, 1709. There's a lot of holes in this story. So as Anne became a teenager, and again, that was finished in 1713, so she would have seen this building being finished, pirates were coming through town. She fell in love with one of them. His name was James Bonny. So Anne, against her father's will, ran away with James Bonny, and they got married down in Jamaica. She's now married to a pirate. The pirate did not turn out to be the man that she wanted him to be. Anne was kind of a badass. She wanted a kick-ass pirate. He was a privateer, which means he was basically a spy for the British. So
I just got hero.
she was the hero. Not him, not James for sure. So anyway, James, being the privateer that he was, she falls in love with another pirate. His name, John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. So if you've ever been down in the Keys, actually I think there's a bar down there called Calico Jack's. It's obviously named after him. But Calico Jack sounds really cool anyway. So he's an up-and-coming pirate. He's got his own ship. She wants to be part of it. She dresses up like a man to become part of the crew. And she's part of the crew, but she can be a female in the captain's quarters. Only. Obvious reasons. So, Anne Bonny, who's still married to James Bonny and sleeping with Calico Jack, gets pregnant. So what's Calico Jack do? He drops her off with friends in Cuba. She has the baby, allegedly, but returns to the ship as a female. She no longer cares about hiding her gender. While she was away in Cuba, Calico Jack's crew captured another ship, and they had prisoners. Well, the captain's not really paying attention to Anne, so she's flirting with one of the prisoners. It turns out that that prisoner was doing the exact same thing that she was doing to join the crew. This was a female dressed like a man. She reveals her gender. They become friends. Not so much lovers that we know of. Of course, holes in the story, but she becomes friends. They still have all these prisoners on board, and then the British come invading. All the pirates that are part of the crew are drunk, and they're keeping an eye on the prisoners below deck. So it's Anne Bonny and Mary Read fighting off the British. She's the hero. However, what do you think's going to happen? 2 women against the British, the ship gets captured. So all the pirates get tried and hung. Anne Bonny and Mary Read get tried on November 28, 1720, but they revealed their gender. Then they did what they call plead their bellies, which means they claimed that they were pregnant. So they were tried and convicted of piracy, but their hanging was basically delayed until after their pregnancy was over. Anne's father here in Charleston still had his money from Ireland. He was able to bail out Anne from jail down from Jamaica and got her back home. Mary Read died in jail from whatever pirates get in a Jamaican prison during the 1700s. So take that for what it's worth. As far as why she's tied to this building, it's just a time period. I don't know that she hung out here. I don't know, but again, we get a lot of weird terms wrapped around Anne. So, Justice. Chief Justice. Let's see if you get a name out of that. So, what we are going to do, because it looks like there's a lot of teams out tonight as far as just ghost tours, we're going to get close to the building. We're going to ask our questions. You could go check out the front of the building. There's an opening of the parking lot that goes that way. We're going to spend about maybe 10 to 15 minutes here, see what comes out of our boxes, our video, our lights, those kind of things. Keep in mind that this building behind the powder magazine is apartments. So we don't want to be flashing lights and taking pictures. You know, our cameras are usually okay. But we're going to check out to see what we can capture. I'm going to bounce around with all of you to see what you're asking and see what answers you're getting. And then we're going to wrap this up and call it a night. What do you think? All right, let's go learn about some pirates. Ask Anne some questions.
You go over there with him.
Hmm?
About 57.
Where?
By him.
That red light?
Oh, by that red light, it's about
Get that out of their thing.
55. 55 now. 56. 55. 55. 56. 51.8.
And why are you at the Powder magazine? And why are you here by the Powder magazine? Here so we can understand. Why are you at the Powder
He gets to the
magazine?
graveyard right around sunset, and that's where he uses the last two shots. He goes home, he gets his film developed.
55 by mom.
Yeah, within a couple of degrees.
Yeah.
So when I do this something here, this is like why it's exciting that goes on. It's not taking any questions or less. Something, don't get me wrong, information will let you down. Those things sometimes it's done now. Like nothing.
That's crazy because it was wild tonight, so
55 by
It's
them.
90% of the time, it's pretty long.
yeah.
And then that light, if it's there, it's a nice one. All right, hold it up like you're going to take a selfie, and you can see it. It's in tune with whatever that light is.
Yeah.
And I videotaped it, that's it. It's usually within 2 seconds. Anything?
Pretty girl.
Anything weird on your temperatures?
No, we're
Not
pretty
too
much
much.
within a
Yeah, we
degree of
Okay.
each other.
So with the two of you, why don't you go around that corner there and go check out the front of this building and just get some film shots of that real quick. I wouldn't shoot your laser in there so much, but kind of look at some of the temperatures and see, you know, if you guys, that way these folks can see if there's any temperature differences in there. All right.
go around to the front of the building.
Yep.
You can stop.
Yep. See anything?
Nope.
All right. Well, let the next group come. There's a group of people coming. Let's.
Any difference on the temperatures?
No, we hadn't had any. We've been within a degree or two of each other the whole time.
Oh, wow.
So, but that doesn't mean you. That's nice.
She said, here, Savannah. And, I'm really not sure what to contact you. Just go around saying that's what shadows, interesting.
There's 3 right now.
Yeah,
Rock
it was
settlement.
really Gianna.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I don't think that's a name from this time.
Less people.
liking this spot right here. Lot. Another lot.
Hey, tell them to come back around. Who's ever over there? Move out the line.
I was told to bring you guys back around.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, the question, the alleged answer to that would be 84.
Oh, wow. I asked where she was buried. We got a lot over there.
Well, we went to the front. It started going off and we got a lot on here.
So we also have parking meters over there.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to take that into effect too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take your EMF, but why don't you tell us what words you got before I take that from you?
I got lot, another, less, Gianna, shadows, settlement, rock, Sophie, clockwise.
I don't see anything wrong with it. So I'll take that from you so I can email myself the list and keep it separated. Nice job. Looks like you guys have 73 terms, so that's pretty cool. That's a lot for me to take a look at. And yes, I look at every one. Even if a Sophie isn't relevant right now, doesn't mean I won't do the research and figure it out. See if it is. Who else has a device that I need to take? We got some lasers. They're safe. I'm not arrested. Good job.
I'll try.
And camera, we probably have about 500 pictures. I'm gonna average because I seen how many clicks he was going through. That's good. I usually get about an average of 250 to 300, so 500 is good. Have you recorded one video, sir?
Yeah.
Just one?
Yep.
Nice. Good job.